right, guys. It's your girl, Hope Anusium, with founder of Fashion Row Collective, and we are here at the Fashion Lounge, where we talk about all things fashion, faith, lifestyle, and culture. Nothing is off the table unless you take it off. And we're excited. We try to create these non-traditional fashion experiences, and we have, we're doing a podcast, but the audience gets to be a part of the conversation. And as you notice, we are not in a studio. We are in the beautiful Ep.002 boutique, which we're excited that they are hosting us and sponsoring this event this evening. Ep.002 boutique, if you're in the Atlanta area or Donwoody area, you can check them out at Perimeter Mall or online at eluxit.com. That's eluxeit.com. And they have some of the dopest brands here in the store with different independent brands that they're carrying. And so I'm your host again, Hope Anusium, and I got my lovely co-host here, Natasha Edwards.
Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. I have a fashion PR company called NTPR Firm. And what we do is help fashion brands or beauty brands get into media publications or partner with Hope to do curated events experiences. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to see what we're going to talk about. It's going to be juicy. I know Archie is going to bring the good conversation about fashion and mental health, which is very important. So I'm excited.
Yes, and so you kind of spoiled my little introduction. But
sorry for stealing your thunder.
No, I'm messing. We have the great Archie Clay the Third.
What's up? On camera.
The third. Will there be a fourth? You gonna carry that on?
There's a fourth.
Okay, cool.
Archie Clay the Fourth.
Okay.
Legendary.
I love it. Keep the legacy going. And so I met Archie maybe like a year and a half, and I just was following your brand and just seeing all the cool things that you were doing. And one thing about me is I love excellence, I love quality, and I love seeing it done by young, Black people of color. Mm-hmm. And the branding and the content and the products were always on point. And so we had the opportunity to do an event together, which helped me learn more about the brand. And we had a conversation maybe like this time last year, mm-hmm. and you were just talking about a transition you were making. And at that time, I think we were exploring this concept of podcasting. And you were just sharing some stories about transitioning and just how that impacted your mental health and how, how that inspired you building kind of your new brand. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need this on a podcast.
Right.
We need to talk
just
about
based
this
on
kind
that
of
conversation, right? Mm-hmm.
So I want to give you the floor. Just share a little bit about kind of who you are, how'd you get into fashion, and what's your story? How'd you get started?
Well, no, it's a pleasure. Thank y'all for having it. Thank you for being in the store. It's amazing. I love what you guys are doing. I think it's super dope. Shout out to the people out here that's in the store as well. No, so my foundation grew up single parent. Mama got remarried, moved to Mississippi, lived from the east side of Atlanta, went to Ski University, graduated in 2012, started my career in retail for like 4 to 5 years. Got tired of that. I'm giving y'all a fast version. Got tired of that. My grandmother had passed away from cancer when I was in my sophomore year of college. Mm-hmm. So for me, that kind of changed my perspective of how I view the world. She didn't have any wealth to her name. She just had joy in her spirit, right? So for me, seeing that and remembering her in that state made me want to kind of change the perspective of how our family and our name is. So fast forward, started my first company, Wear Brims. We were able to scale that to 7 figures over 6 years.
Nice.
And then, the explosion happened. Me and my business partner, we split last year, which was, you talked about mental, that was kind of like my space of like not knowing where I wanted to go, not knowing where God wanted me to go. So that kind of put me in a dark space for a little bit. But because of family, being aware of myself, of my own issues and my trauma, being able to lock in more and say, hey, there's more to life than just this one opportunity, right? I think God positions us and we go through certain things to be able to position ourselves to take things to the next level. And it's up to us to see that story, see that awareness, And hopefully you can start the journey of positioning yourself to make things happen. So from there, God gave me a sign, started my next company, which is called Brain Love. Brain Love.
I'm gonna pause there a
Go
little
ahead.
bit because
I keep going now.
We're flowing through it a little bit. Like, I don't know how many of you guys are in the fashion space or entrepreneur or out here trying to build your own thing, right? And the life of a entrepreneur or creative, like, it's tough.
No, for sure.
And you have like 1,000,001 pivots that you have to make, right? And I think sometimes, we see things on social media and it's glamorous and it's, we see the success and we see the accolades. I think I discovered you guys when you were launching in, was it like
Nordstrom's and Neiman Marcus?
Yeah, one of those two. And yeah, that's the highlight.
Right.
But there's always the things behind the scenes that people don't really get to see.
Right.
And not saying going in all of that detail, but like that affects how you create.
No, for sure.
It affects like the next steps that you make. So like, how do you navigate those moments where there is friction as a creative and as you're trying to build your brand and as you're seeing the success and you kind of have to deal with this tension of like two things happening at once, right? Like, what did that look like for you?
So I think it's phases, right? Where there's phases there where there will be jealousy, right? Just to be honest, you will see your friends popping off before you. You will see certain people launch brands more quickly than you have, So it's dealing with multiple things, jealousy, but it's also awareness to know that your time will come, but it's also community too. So I feel like I have a very solid community. My family's very solid, so I feel comfortable enough to express the ups and downs of my journey, when shit is on the low and when shit was on the high, what I'm saying? So I think to answer your question, is multiple things. It's like, and I think that's where faith comes into play. It's like truly believing that you have something bigger to offer. And I think we all have something bigger to offer in our own way. I think it's just us being able to see it and believe in it. And I think a lot of times people forget, like, these individuals that we look up to that have these dreams, that have what we want, they were just crazy to get to it. Like, you have to be delusional in that thought process and believing that you will be the next thing up. Like, me and my best friend, we literally, and this is kind of how the conversation I have, kind of answer your question. Like, he literally was just like, yo, what's your thought process of thinking bigger? Like, he literally gave me his quote. It's like, if you die with your dream, that means that your dream, if you die with your dream, that means your dream wasn't big enough. So it's like really having that thought process of like, yo, okay, I want to be bigger than Louis Vuitton. I want to be bigger than LVMH. You know what I'm saying? So it's like really believing that you can be bigger than those companies. People gonna say you crazy, but that's what they tell everybody that's a billionaire, they're crazy. So it's like, why should we let someone down our perspective of where we want to go because someone is not confident in themselves?
Right.
Because if my boy told me I want to be bigger than Apple, I'm not gonna say, bro, you can't do that. It's all right, cool. How we gonna get to it?
Right. I love that.
So
Now,
Go ahead.
okay, so how do you get to it with balancing your mental health? So, like you said, you have ups and downs. So what do you do practically to balance out, okay, right now I'm in a high, everything is great, but when you get in a low, what do you do practically to balance that out? Because we don't talk about this as creatives. We have highs and we have lows.
Right.
A lot of lows.
A lot of lows.
Right. No, for sure.
So, and I know
I had a low 2 days ago.
yesterday.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I want to hear, what do you do?
Cry.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You cry. You. My fiance is the person that I kind of vent to. I'm vulnerable with. My mom is the same way. So it's like having those individuals that you feel comfortable enough to express your emotions to, but also they keep you accountable as well. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. I like to fight. So I'm in the gym doing Muay Thai 4 times out the week at least. That's my zone. Being creative is my zone, and just can't staying locked into the journey and like keeping yourself in a motivating environment.
Right.
I believe that if I have a solid group of friends that are very inspirational to me, and that keeps me going. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that you're gonna make it, knowing it's coming. And also, my homegirl asked me, she's like, what did you learn for the last year? I told her, I said, knowing that shit's gonna happen regardless of how comfortable or how you could be a neat freak or you're still gonna get dirty.
Right.
So you can just don't complain again and over again about it being dirty, you just clean it again. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I view business. Is like your first company might not be the company that pops off. The second company might not be the company that pop off. You might not get that promotion. So you're gonna cry and prevent yourself from getting that promotion? You know what I mean? So like, I used to tell my fiance, it's like, yo, like your time will come when your time is ready, when God is ready for that time to come for you. And you may not never know when that time comes. So it's just like, that's the vulnerability of being great. It's like being great, you ain't great all the time. Being great is when you're down, in my opinion. It's when you have those moments where you probably at zero in your bank account.
Keep talking.
You got a great product, so you got to figure out how to make some money.
Yeah.
That's when greatness comes in, because when you're out on the camera and we doing this podcast, that's cute, but the greatness is behind the scene.
It's good.
You hitting. And it's personal for me because, yes, I'm a visionary, so like you have this major vision and you put all of your energy and passion around like building it and manifesting it. And it doesn't just happen easily.
Right.
You know, like, and then internally, like, yes, I suffer from imposter syndrome. You know, like I can get in my head and you know that you have something great, but like believing that you can do it.
Right.
You know, or fighting through those down moments. Like this week, I had somebody that was very, very near to me pass away. And it's like, do I push through and like do this podcast today? You know, and sometimes you have to just show up, you know, and the pressure doesn't go away.
No.
You know, but you then have to dictate like how I'm going to put in either the right boundaries or the right structures in my life where I can keep myself healthy in the midst of like pursuing the thing, pursuing the thing that you're passionate about. Because it doesn't, I think it was like last year for me where, you know, as a new brand, I think last year was our second year, we're in our third year of building. You know, we're trying to build and show people who we are, what we're doing, who's Fashion Row Collective, you know, and you kind of have to get some street cred, you know? So you got to just put yourself out there and do the work. And it's about halfway through last year and I'm like, this is for the birds. Like, no one's seeing what I'm doing. I'm not seeing the traction from what I'm, you know, all the effort that I'm putting in. And I don't know if I have the strength to continue to do this. And it was towards like maybe like fourth quarter, people just start saying, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see what y'all doing, you know, and started to reaffirm to me like, no, the seeds that you have been planting is actually taking root. And don't stop because it does have value for people. Right. You know, and it's like those moments that kind of reaffirms you to just keep going, keep pushing. But you know, people don't talk about that.
No, I mean, that's God talking to you, essentially.
Right.
In those moments where you feel defeated, in those moments where you feel like, all right, I got this dope product, I got a dope brand myself, I have a resume, I think I'm talented. You may not be getting the jobs that you are applying for, you might not be getting the promotion that you're applying for, but all it is just tests. You know what I'm saying? Just testing your strength and your ability to handle when that success does come.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think for us at Brain Love is to get people to understand that there's a connection between success and your mental.
Right.
You can't have one or the other. Yeah, because you can go hard, you know what I'm saying, and then get to the mills, and then you ain't got no type of foundation. You don't got no family. You don't have nothing. Like all you have is just your money.
Right.
And now you're not happy. So most times people get money to be happy. Now you got money, you ain't happy. You know what I'm saying? So I think for us to get people to understand on that journey to wherever you're trying to go, it's just like you have to be comfortable in yourself and confident in yourself to continue to push forward. Because at the end of the day, when you get to it, I'll be honest, when I get to it or get to that level where I want to be, you're going to want more. So how are you going to handle the next level of that? Now, there's a whole different thought process. Now you're different. You're dealing with a different set of different groups of people. More shadiness on a whole nother level. Y'all think shadiness is now. That ain't nothing compared to when you got real money. it's a whole different thought process around that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think people got to realize you're in the season now of learning. Are you capable of dealing with it, honestly? And if God is not think that you're not capable of doing it, he may not give it to you because he may say, hey, maybe this is not good for you to have.
That's real talk.
That's deep. I'm checking myself like, wait a minute, am I capable?
And I think that's where the awareness comes into play. It's like, you have to be aware. Do I have a good product?
Right.
Be honest with yourself. Is your product fire? If it ain't, if I go to your website and your website not popping, no, you don't have a good product.
But it's two sides of it. It's having the great product or service or whatever it is that you're delivering. And then it's you. Right? Like, you can't, especially as an entrepreneur, like you can't 100% take yourself away from that equation.
No.
You know what I mean? And I noticed for myself personally, last year was I'd say it was a growth year. It was tough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was ugly in terms of like the things that I saw within myself that I knew if I didn't get rid of those traits or characteristics, I couldn't get to where I actually wanted to be. Like those things would have hindered me.
I think that's, to your point, that's God is telling you, like,
Right.
hey, you have these certain things, like you said,
Right.
that I think you should mold a little better.
Right.
Because I believe this, even our flaws can make us successful too.
Yeah.
Right? It's like taking those flaws, because it still makes us human at the end of the day. It's still having those emotions. It's still understanding that you're going to have those moments where you don't feel the best. So it's taking those moments to say, hey, I'm not feeling the best. Let me just relax for 30 minutes. Let me get myself back into it, because at the end of the day, it's like you want to be your best self, especially if it's something that you're passionate about.
Right.
You know what I mean? People can see if you're just moving with the motion. You know what I mean? And I think it's just understanding that if I'll go back to it, like you want to be great, it's just like it's grind, it's getting better every single day. It's failing forward, failing backwards, it's all that.
Right. So how did all of this, transition into Brain Love? Like what is Brain Love? What's the concept? How did you
So
get
when
started?
me and my business partner split, that was a rough period for me, because for me, I didn't understand the landscape. This is the first time you hear about it, brands or companies splitting, but you don't really know what it feels until you actually in that shit. So me being in that made me realize it's like, yo, this is a different beast. This is real business, because you can build an idea and realize that regardless of how successful you are and how much money you may be making, your partner still may not be aligned. And especially if y'all making money and y'all, one is full-time and one is not full-time, the one that's full-time has so much more to lose. You know what I mean? So for me, it was tough, because now it's like, what am I gonna do? Do I gotta go back to work? I don't wanna do that. God dang. I ain't trying to do that. But I mean, if you gotta do it. So for me, it was just like taking the moment to pray, deal with my own trauma. My dad had a mental breakdown when I was 3. So for me, it feels like a similar situation where I look back on this as like, I could have been the same situation. I could have had a breakdown and not came back from it. You know what I mean? And I did have a breakdown, but I was able to come back from it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's dealing with that, but also realizing there's a lot of people, probably more than we know, of people dealing with this every single day.
Yeah.
And not just business, I'm talking about family, like losing a spouse or breaking up a marriage. Like all these things are happening for different people that they're not coming back from it. So now they're not successful because they were able to control their emotions and their mental. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I know what that feels like. And it's not a good feeling to know that you have failed, you know what I'm saying? And to know that maybe you can't do nothing about it. So for us, the idea came about, I was listening to this Warren Buffett podcast or whatever on YouTube. And he basically said, he was just like, man, people don't understand how important it is for your mental to be strong as your drive. And I was just like, okay, I think that's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that's powerful, especially for me in this moment I am right now. How do we take this to inspire more people and really make people see that they can be more than not even more who they are, more than what society tells them they are, more than what the media is telling that we should be and how we should react to different things or how we should push ourselves forward. So for us, it's to merge luxury fashion and a social enterprise, right? So 5% of our annual sales goes to a nonprofit called Silence to Shame. So for us, it's not to financially give back to the community from a mental health standpoint, but also be in the community as well, right? How do we help us understand that our mental is the most important thing, right? There's different spectrums of it though, right? You have the other end of it where it's depression, suicide, all the horrible side of mental health. But then you have, people that actually are born and have mental issues and things of that nature. And then you have the other half where people actually build into that. Something happens to them, something trauma happens to them, something traumatic happens to them where they're not able to bounce back. Something happens, they talk to somebody, are you okay? Don't talk to nobody, you good. Our grandparents just tell us like, oh, go pray to the church. No, I'm serious, that's how it is. So it's like, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like, if something happens to you or something is happening traumatic in your life, you should feel comfortable to say, yo, like, I'm not feeling good, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And it should be cool to say, yo, I'm not okay, because at the end of the day, that can change your whole trajectory of your life if you don't get it back. Like, my dad has not been right since I was 3.
Wow.
Because of someone saying, oh, he's good. He's just having a moment. He don't need to go to the doctor. He don't need no medication. You know what I'm saying? So like, just imagine if he had one person to say, bro, let's me and you just talk. You know what I'm saying? But that happens to all of us. That happens. We've all had a moment in our life where we didn't feel like we are worthy.
Right.
But we had to tell ourselves, I am worthy. That's what Brain Love represents. We want to be able to tell our customers that you are worthy. Like, our tagline is, your evolution starts with you. Before you do anything in your life, you got to make the steps for yourself to say, I need help.
I love this. I love this because Hope and it reminds me of our relationship. We're business partners, but we have a relationship where we start out, how are you doing today?
Right.
And we never go, and I mentioned this the last podcast, I think we do a great job at it. We don't talk about business first or fashion. We talk about our mental health first. And so some days, like yesterday, it was my day. It was my turn. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, And she listened to me and she encouraged me. And I need that. We need a community where it's just not all about business all the time, because that's not authentic.
Right.
What's authentic is I get to know you, you get to know me. You know my weakness, I know your weakness. We know each other's strengths. And so I love your brand. I love that you're doing that, because people are suffering behind social media.
No, for sure.
And I love that we have developed that with her brand, Fashion World Collective, my brand, NTPR. We get to business, but we get personal before we get to business. And it really, today was great, because I got to tell her, like, I'm
how
not doing good.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
And it's just okay.
And I woke up like, I feel great. I can't wait till our podcast.
Absolutely. Right. Like a couple of days ago, again, when I heard of the passing of someone, I'm like, Natasha, can you make these calls for me? Because I can't show up today. Like, I cannot be present. I can't try to put a smile on my face on. I got my energy on today, but sometimes you need that pause, to figure out like what's the next step.
Right.
And I won't say we always were like that, I know at times I was just dumping, and we were both stressed out on, whenever we would meet and have calls. And then we had to remember, like, we're still human beings.
Right.
This work ain't going nowhere. Whatever events we're working on, like, it's going to get done. But if we're not here, it's not happening.
No.
And if we don't communicate, like, we're not going to be effective together, working together. And so it's taking that, first acknowledging that, okay, I'm not in my best space. I'm not my best person right now,
right.
And that being okay. Like, hi, my name is Hope and I'm a recovering perfectionist. Like, this is a real thing. Like, you may say mental health from the extremities, but like perfectionism, like
right.
I legit suffer from that. Like overthinking, analysis paralysis, and sometimes it gets you stuck, right? Especially as a creative, when sometimes you just kind of have to move on the opportunities. like, I need to get out of my head. And I was talking to Natasha, and she's like, Hope, just don't overthink it and just make a move. I'm like, okay, I got it. You know, and you need those moments. And that's kind of like why we created, you know, the Fashion Lounge podcast, because
Super dope concept, by the way.
I appreciate that. I'm such a realist though. Like, I don't do fluff. You know, I'm that kind of person. Like, if you want to know the truth, ask me. You may not like how it comes out,
But you'll get it.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I don't like to sugarcoat things. Like, this stuff isn't easy. It's not, you know, it may seem glamorous. I post stuff on social media where all the places I'm going, half the time I'm tired. And I'm like, I don't want to be here today. I'm showing up because this is work for me, you know, and I'm trying to build connections. I'm trying to build networks, all the fruit comes with it. Like, you put in the work, you're going to get the benefit. But it's not as glamorous as it looks like all the time. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to be at home and watching some TV and not even, if I could be off of social media, I would.
Some good popcorn.
You know? So I think that first step of just acknowledging that, hey, I'm not in my best self. You know, not to blame or shame yourself or, you know, put more pressure on yourself, but what can I do? You know, what safe spaces do I have that I can tap into where I can feel heard, right?
But it's a safe space.
But I love what you, like, anytime I see you, like, you wear 1,000,001 hats and you just do it like it's so easy. Like, you're managing several different brands or partnering with several different brands. You do event stuff. Like, how do you keep it all going and still create effortlessly? Is it just over time you've learned how to do it with ease, or it just look easy?
It ain't easy to do that shit. I mean, I think it's just the want to be successful, the need to be successful. But also everything is within the wheelhouse, right? So fashion, retail store, marketing, branding, events, it's still all connected in some form of fashion. You know what I mean? I think for me, it had to take a step back from certain things, like don't do events anymore unless it's talking some money. You know what I mean? So it's like being able to say no to certain things. Because at the end of the day, now it's so much, right? We have a store, we need to scale that. We have a brand, consultants have other brands. So now it's just focusing on the things that matter the most. And it's just staying focused, honestly. And I do a lot of work from home, you know, in the store. So it's just staying locked in and hustling. I've always been a hustler.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that sometimes you say you want to stop hustling, but it never stops, honestly. It never stops. And I think putting yourself in the position, it puts yourself in a position to win. Like, if I didn't put myself in a position, I would have never met my partner, Nino. Like, it's giving me an opportunity to do what I do best. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's God pushing you into different situations to see how you react, but also putting you in situations you can take advantage of the situations. Right. You know what I mean? And that's why it goes back to actually having a product, because it makes it easier for you to connect with people if you're authentically yourself, organic, but you also have a product and you're cool and you just want to eat and win. You can tell when people just want to be great and want to put in the work to be great and are not like super like, it's like, it's an art to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell when people are smooth and they have the want and the drive to get to the next level. It's like you said, ain't a lot of fluff. It ain't arm all over the place. It's like, no, I know exactly where I want to go.
Anytime I've like interacted with you or just even seen you outside of our interactions, it's like you're about your business, but you've always been like very collaborative, very open and transparent, where it's not like you sitting on this kind of high horse.
Because I ain't on no high horse.
Or a lot of people in the industry, like, that's standard. Like, I made a little bit of success and now I'm above.
Because I got to where I am with community.
Right.
Like, you can't use community, get to where you are, and then turn your back on community.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that's the ingredient to success, right? Like, you know, actually caring about people, serving people through kind of what it is that you're creating and doing it with people.
Even with the store, like it's community. Like, we're doing this because it brings community It brings you into the store. It shows you that we value the customers and our clients. We want to give you the best pieces in the store. We want to ask you what you love. Where do you shop? Like, what are things that you love? Because at the end of the day, we want to support and give our customers a super elevated experience.
Well, you didn't tell us how you got here. So.
Okay. You ain't got there yet.
How did we get here?
We here in the back.
Man, I'm on the camera eating up. What you eating over there?
Well, no, man, I think it's, like I said, it's community, man. Nino is OG, man. Super grateful.
Super dope.
Super dope. I met him.
Very stylish.
Yes.
Met him during the Word Brim times. He's been a supporter, buyer of hats. He probably got like 4 or 5 hats, is that. And brought me in on some projects to do some stuff on the e-commerce side, and he was like, man, come on board. So I was like, shit, why not? You know what I mean? So me, I know when people got something special. You know what I'm saying? So I always saw that he had something special, and I think I'm special. I know I'm special. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that I know how to bring people in, and I think I know how to create community. And I think that's what the focus is to create community, is to give brands opportunity, is to give space ecosystems, to build infrastructure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, no shade to any other boutique. I think a lot of boutiques out here in Atlanta, and they do amazing things, but we truly want to be for the community. You know what I mean? We truly want to make things happen, and we truly want to provide the best pieces. Like, I think that's what's missing in Atlanta fashion. It's like really having those dope pieces.
Right.
Like you go to New York or LA or Mexico City, where you walk into a store, you may never heard of that brand before. You know what I'm saying? But you see like, oh, this is fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I mean, y'all sold my coat.
We did. We
You
sold my coat.
I didn't get a chance to purchase it.
You know
but,
what I'm saying?
You know,
So it's like,
when y'all run that back.
Exactly.
let me know.
Like we want to be a space for people to come in. They got an event going on the next day. They can actually pick up something. You just want to pick up something dope and nice. We want to be that space for you. But I think our focus is just to create community and create an elevated experience for our customers.
I love that. So like, if you could do anything, money's not a limitation, what would that look like? If you could do or build or whatever it is that you aspire to do, and money is not a limitation.
I mean, I be doing what I do. I just scale what I'm doing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think Brain Love is, well, I'll say this. RCG, which is my parent company, will own multiple companies.
Okay.
We'll scale and exit multiple companies. We'll build a consulting company. We'll help small business. We'll help medium-sized and bigger companies scale. And we'll travel. Live our life and just have fun and take the family and just vibe out and just live that life that we're supposed to live.
Let me travel for 1 year.
Listen.
That would be my dream.
Listen.
All of our dreams.
But no, I want to create a foundation. We want to do a lot of stuff within the community. I think that's something I'm very passionate about. My fiance wants to do a lot of stuff within the community. So like we get married in April.
Nice.
So creating the Clay Foundation and all those things. Love and that. Really being, I can see ourselves being a very philanthropic couple, like doing a lot for the community, especially the fashion community. I feel like Atlanta, a lot of people are leaving Atlanta because of the ecosystem. And it bothers me a lot that we got to leave Atlanta to build our brands and our companies from a fashion perspective.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
And this kind of goes back to the store. Me and Neil talk about all the time. It's just like we can potentially be the infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? That's why it takes support and community where we can be the infrastructure and this be a destination for people to shop, celebrities, influencers, everybody come shop, where now this is the space to come. Now you're letting your other brands are having the opportunity to interface with the customers. Now they get customers. Now they be able to get data. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So, what do you think is like missing from the Atlanta landscape when it comes to fashion? Support, what does that look like?
So I think that if brands are not popping already and they have a good product, the customer in Atlanta is not as eager to support. The brand has to leave, pop, and then come back.
Facts.
So like a lot of my homies are leaving Atlanta because they have dope brands, they have dope communities, but it's only so much your one community can do for you if First of all, but then buying, first and foremost. Like you can have a community all you want. If you ain't buying a product, it don't matter. Like you can have the dopest product in the world. We can have the dopest t-shirt. It feels so good, it's amazing. But if you don't buy, we don't sell nothing. So we never go anywhere. You know what I mean? So Atlanta's very weird. Me and Neil talked about it all the time. It's like New York, right? For example. A lot of New York brands started in New York. Mm-hmm. There's like a plethora of New York brands that have popped off in New York. You got your Kifs, you got your Noahs, you got the ALDs. They all backed by that community of New York. Now, yes, the infrastructure in New York is better. The fashion ecosystem out there is better, but they're still buying the product.
Right.
They was buying Kif when their shirts was trash. They were just little regular t-shirts. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the issue where we have strong communities to a certain extent. When it's time to buy, we're not actually making the transactions. You know what I mean? So, and that keeps brands from scaling and getting to the next level. And it's cool, yes, we love the support and the postings and shine us out. But if you really want to help a brand grow and them scale, you gotta actually rock it.
Right.
And like how y'all rock y'all pieces that y'all got on your bodies right now, how y'all go out and purchase it. You gotta send this whole love to the brand that you love. Like if you love a brand that you rock with, let that be your brand that you rock with. Right. There's brands that I rock with, like Cease and Desist, Melrose High, Mifflin. Like I rock with those brands. They competitors, but I still wear them because I know I fly. So if I wear it, people gonna be like, I swear to God, you laugh. Like look, I'll be having my Mifflin bag. Everybody like, where you get that bag from? Like Mifflin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like people, you guys are literally the muse, because a lot of times there are a lot of cool people in Atlanta. So when people wear it, they just see it. Like, where you get that from? Oh, I want to go get that too. So now it becomes now the community is moving that brand.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we kind of like click, because like your aspiration is kind of why I created Fashion Road Collective, right? Mm-hmm. Just that lack of community in the fashion space, a lack of this connected ecosystem where people are supporting each other. I'm from Atlanta, so I can say whatever I want to say about it. But, we're on trend city. Like, mm-hmm. Everything is about the latest trends. That's what we wear. You go to New York, you ask about trends, they're like, we don't do trends. We just, we create our own expression of style.
Yeah, about their life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so here it becomes a little bit harder to push something that is new, different, unconventional, whatever it may be that somebody hasn't heard of, but it's dope, right? Like I would rather rock something that just looks good on me versus these designer brands. I've purchased a few designer brand products and I don't wear them. Right. It's just a waste of my money. But things that just actually have personality and style and character, like those are the brands that I want to amplify. And it's not just the brands, maybe they're the creatives that are, putting these brands together, the stylists that, know how to bring it to life. Like, how are we amplifying, those players,
right?
In order to get to the next level. That's why we created Fashion Road Collective, right?
That's important.
And I think what you guys are building, creating a physical space where brands can have visibility, can either have experience of that retail experience that it may be hard for them to buy this on their own, right? Or invest in this on their own, but they could be a part of something that's bigger and greater. Right. So I love that concept.
Yeah, I think for us is too. We know we got to put work in too. You know what I'm saying? Because the same questions that I ask potential e-commerce brands and potential brick and mortar stores, we're gonna get the same questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we have traction? Do we have customer base? You know what I mean? So like, we have to do the work on our end to make sure it's worth the whiles of the different brands that come our way or the different partnerships that come our way. Good thing about it is me and Nino got a strong network. His network bigger than mine. I thought my network was pretty big, but it's good to know that we both have strong communities that we can lean on to help build infrastructure so that we can get you guys fly, but also, for up and coming brands, be able to help them as well. We want to start a new brand program where we bring in different brands a year, and like basically have like one class a month where we can have like conversation around what their needs are, what their wants are, what they're struggling with. Do they need production? Like, do they need help with funding? Like, what that looks like capital, like all these different things that matter. Because I think that in order for us to really build these brands, gotta have capital. We gotta start having these conversations around building capital, raising capital, so that we can scale our brands to the next level.
Help me find some money.
I'm about to raise capital. Starting in May.
So, I know we have some people in the space, and if anybody is eager to like chime in, oh, okay.
I know he was ready.
No
I know my boy is ready.
No hesitation, what we got?
I can't hesitate. I heard some pretty good things over here. Hello. Nice to meet
What's
you
up,
all.
man?
What's your name?
My name is Messiah. I am a high school student at Wheeler. I just wanted to ask from a perspective.
Hold on one second.
You get your, hold that.
All that thought.
There we go.
Yes.
Put a mic on me. I didn't think I had the mic. Okay. So, you good? Okay. Well, I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Messiah. I am a student at Wheeler. I am a junior. And just as a black male in our community, I realized that as I'm going along, I see that just the hating is real. We just tend to hate on each other so much. And like when you come out and wear stuff like I do, I always ask like, hey, you're doing too much. And individualism is not really as, I guess, accepted as much anymore. You want to go with the latest fashion trends, as you said, when it comes to Atlanta being a trend center, which we love here. But it gets to the point where you're just like, you don't want to do your own thing anymore. So you go to these brands like Vlon. You see every dude with Vlon shirt. I mean, it's cool, but I don't want to see it everywhere I go, right? So I guess my real question is, how would you educate us, just even as a community, to bring back our individualism and help us as this new generation goes on?
I mean, I think my thought process behind, I think it goes back to confidence. I think it's a lack of confidence within ourselves that we try to push on to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we all got our own swag. We all got our own version of swag. You know what I'm saying? And majority of the time, people like you are the ones that's billionaires.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had to change my own thought process. You know what I'm saying? I come from the east side. You know what I'm saying? We ain't dressed like that. It was in white tees. You feel me? Like that's not the swag. But at the same time, like people that feel comfortable like yourself to come out and be themselves and push themselves to the culture, those are the ones you honestly want to lean in on, because I want to be able to take your confidence and add that to me. So to answer your question, I think it's a lack of confidence, and I think it goes back to how we're taught and how society's position us as a community, and not getting us to understand, like, at the end of the day, it's like there's power in being an individual.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's power in our creativity. Like, that is creativity. Like, God is a creative. He's a creative director. And he made us. So naturally, in my mind, we got a little bit of creativity in our body. You know what I'm saying? So how we lean in on that, that's up to us. But I just think that how anyone else wants to be and how we worry about too many people. Like, I'm in a space where if you want to dress like that, man, that's your prerogative.
We all masterpieces in here.
Listen, I got a beanie with crystals on it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a king when I wear it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there's beauty in that. You know, I think unfortunately that's gonna take time, because unfortunately, not everybody thinks like we do.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we have to all understand is just like, I'm gonna keep saying like this. My boy said this one thing. He said, at the end of the day, we all adults. And that means, do whatever you want to do. Like, you're not a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are asking, can I do this? You're an adult. Like, if you want to dress like that, why are you worrying about another man, how you dress?
I mean, Natasha stopped you because of what you look like. And
you know what I'm saying?
Like, it had a point of view.
So I'll tell you, man, like, you're going to get that energy all your life because people don't understand.
I know. It's like I got my own little fan club.
Yeah, bro.
It's going to
always be that way. And I'll tell you, man, just block out the haters, and honestly, and just keep moving forward, man. And hopefully that your spirit and your energy, which I think you have amazing spirit just by just being you, I hope it rubs off on other people. And I hope they see the value in that. And honestly, those are the ones that are super, super successful in the world, because they don't care about what anybody thinks. I don't care about what anybody thinks about me. You can be mad all you want, but I'm still gonna get to the bag. So
I'm big on like personal branding. like, what does your personal brand say about you? And I always use this example, like I say Oprah, everyone has a particular idea of who Oprah represents, right? And all the wonderful things you may say about her, I don't know, other stuff. And then you say somebody like Trump, right? And he also has a certain associations associated with him, but he has a very strong personal brand. And when you have a personal brand, it's really about being authentic to yourself, that however you show up, people are gonna give you a pass because they know that's you, right? Like Trump, they're gonna give him a pass because you know what you're gonna get when you deal with him, right? And so people need to know what you're gonna get whenever they deal with you. And that means you're showing up consistently as yourself, as your personal brand, each and every time.
I try.
For me, like anytime I'm going somewhere, I'm like, I feel overdressed. I'm like, Hope, that's your brand. You know what I mean? If you're overdressed, most overdressed person in the room, so be it. I get over it, But that's how people see you. That's how you're gonna show up. That's what draws people to you. And you just, as Archie mentioned, you just owning who you are unapologetically. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, bro.
Anybody else got any other questions?
I want to feed off of what he was saying. You said you were in high school?
Yes.
That's amazing that you can understand yourself and know who you're destined to be in high school. When I was in school, I second guessed. I worried about what everybody thought. I'm 38, getting into my craft, and I'm not looking back. Don't worry about what others think. Always do what you do. You look great doing it. It's a lot of people that inspire and don't have the audacity or the energy or the guts to do what you do. So as a mother, I have a daughter probably your age. I tell her, don't worry about what others, pray about it a lot and keep going.
Yeah, that's good.
Pass it to Mike.
All right. So I feel like in our society, grind culture is like a big thing. And you mentioned like when you get to the next destination, whatever your goal is, you don't think you'll even stop there. You'll continue going. So I'm curious, where do the pit stops lie? How do you keep yourself from feeling burned out?
Take another drink.
Okay. That's a loaded one.
So I think for me, my goal is to be able to create what I want to create, right? So I have a vision. I want to create a restaurant. I want to have a cafe in the airport. So I have all these different ideas, and I think there's a pit stop. I think pit stop is family. That's my pit stop, right? Making sure like on this journey of success, there's going to always be opportunities. There's going to always, because you think about like the Tom Brady's and the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James and the Kobe's, like they reached a certain level of success and greatness because they pushed themselves as hard as possible, right? I think the flaw in that on their end is that sometimes they lose their relationships and their families because of how hard they work, right? I think that we can have both, but I will say this, there comes sacrifice though, because to put to your point, which I think I know where you're going at, is that you can have so much, because if you have a multi-million-dollar company, your time is very strapped, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So then where does family come into play? Where does your fiance or husband come into play, right? So I think it's just having the right spouse, having the right family members to understand that this is who you are, you know what I mean? But also as an individual, myself, is understanding that you don't want to lose your family. So you have to make sure you take time, over communicate. If I gotta fly to LA for an event and my potential son in the future has a soccer game the next day, hey, we need to end this meeting early, because at the end of the day, I think we forget, the point of getting money is to have power. If you really got real power, there's no excuse for you to miss most important things in people's lives. You know what I mean? So from my perspective, how I view power, and to answer your question, is that my pit stops and being able to have my pit stops. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have power, I have money, so if I need to go to a recital, I should be able to get off the phone for an hour and enjoy the recital. But I think these are moments of awareness that we have to make, especially as men, right? Where we can be so tunnel vision that we forget about the most important things. And I don't have kids yet, but I just know that for me, I didn't have a dad in my life like that. So I know it's going to be important for me to be in my son or daughters, whoever, life, nieces or whatever. So, you know, so my, to answer your question, my pit stops are making my own pit stops.
I think when you have kids, you'll find a balance.
Right.
In between that. That sounds good. Your answer was great. But I think it's going to be a balance because it's not always going to be about the money.
Right.
I don't have money yet, but I don't want to be rich. I would like wealth.
Right.
So as a mother of 3 and a single mother at that, it's hard to be in 3 places at once, but
Right.
communicating is big. I'm originally from Chicago. I moved to Atlanta high school. I've been back and forth. I had to get away from family to be able to excel. So
Right.
I think it's just a balance of everything. And my children helped me with a lot of that. And
Right.
to be able to do something and still make it's not about the money for me,
No, for sure,
because
for sure.
I don't have that yet. So empower to me would be the knowledge behind everything
Right.
and the reasoning of doing that. So I think when you have children, your
It
answer
changes.
may
It
change
changes, yeah.
just a little bit. It's a little
I ain't got
bit.
kids, so that might change the whole thought
Yeah.
Honestly,
process.
Toy Story may be a little
Look,
more important than a fedora.
We'll have this conversation again in the next 3 years. How my every conversation answer changes.
You got one?
But I think you have to find your anchor. Like, what's the thing that anchors you enough to pause, right? For me, it is my family. Like, I've always had high stress career, been in a high stress career. Like, I've been in like consulting, you know, working 80 hours and all that kind of stuff, traveling 5 days a week, you know, and I did that for so long and it just burnt me out. And I couldn't really nurture my relationships, you know, because I was either gone, and when I'm here on the weekend, like, you're trying your best to spend time with family and friends. And then after a while, people just stop calling. And they just like, oh, you're busy. You know, I didn't think to invite you. Oh, you're always busy. And I hated that. You know, I don't think I've mastered that yet because, you know, I get into these busy spells because I am ambitious, you know, and I do want to achieve my goal, but it's like, at what cost? You know, I've been, you know, worked myself crazy to the point where I physically could not do it. I developed health conditions because of that. Like, and I'm like, it's not worth it at the end of the day. I literally was talking to my niece this morning and she was like, you're too busy, Auntie Hope. And I was like, so what can I do about that? She's like, you need to hire like a personal assistant and they can help you do some stuff. I'm like, look, girl, you right. Because right. And I'm like, I spend a lot of time doing things that I know somebody else could do, right? But what can I put in practice, in motion to increase my capacity, give me my time back? You know, and we just have to be willing to make those investments so that we can reap the rewards of what may not seem like the prize as everybody else consider a prize. But no, if your family ain't there, what are you doing this for? You know what I mean?
Or have someone put something on your schedule. So today I was like, Hope, I RSVP'd for events and I RSVP'd for you because you need to hang out. So, you know, I know how she is. So, you know, I think you just need community or people to look after you. And when there's something going on, you know, I'll be like, okay, we going. Now, if you have something you have to do, I understand, but, you know.
I know.
There needs to be, I told her the other day, give yourself a break. We have to give ourselves a break sometimes. Like, we don't have to be perfect and, you know, running around and, you know, doing all this stuff. Give yourself a break. And think, and then pay for it later.
Homie had a question.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. My name is Richard D. Case, and I get the privilege sometimes to host a lot of events around the city.
Dope.
First off, I wanted to say Archie. Every time I hear the name Archie, because I'm from Atlanta too, I think of We Ready. We Ready.
I thought you was about to say the comic books.
No, not the comic books. No.
I actually went to high school with him.
I prefer the other Archie, right?
Yeah, I prefer that one too.
You'd be up in Mercedes Benz and it's rocking through the loudspeakers and everything.
Right.
So thinking about the We Ready, right? And looking at what Natasha and Hope and you put together, something that's intimate and quaint like this, but yet so impactful and powerful, I think they deserve a hand, everybody.
Oh, shit. Oh, thanks.
I think they do.
Thank you.
All right, now that said, I do have a question for you though. Talking about mental health, right? COVID came about, sometime on or about March of 2020. And what we noticed during that time when COVID was ever present in society is that we saw the rise of people that had these mental health challenges, where before then, mental health really wasn't a thing, especially in communities of color, right?
Sure.
It's always been taboo to think about, to even talk about. And I think you mentioned it when talking about your dad, right? So with that as the backdrop, the question I have for you is this: how did you develop the courage to sit there on that couch, to look into that camera, to talk to these two lovely ladies and share what your struggles might be with mental health, when so many of us, right, we cower in fear because we think that we're going to be judged by having issues of anxiety, depression, etc. And you don't seem to have the same sort of challenge where that's concerned. So talk to us a little bit about that.
No, it's moms. It's my mom taught me that, because I used to deal with my issues when I was younger. Like, I didn't know how to cope, the thought process of understanding that my dad was in my life, right? So I would cry and do all these things, and my mom wouldn't tell me not to cry. She's like, it's okay to cry. Like, that's a part of your strength. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been that way. And I think that when I became an entrepreneur, that's what kind of intensified that. And I think as I went through my own issues, like even during COVID, we lost our manufacturer from my first company for 6 months. We weren't making no money. So that was a whole mental thought process from there. You know what I'm saying? And then my next company and doing all that. So I don't know, man. I think maybe maybe it was my calling to be a advocate for the space, because I know that even my own homies, we have these conversations about certain things, and sometimes we're afraid to express ourselves. But now me and my homies, we do check-ins. So every month someone is checking in, like, yo, what's your mental, how your emotions feel? Like, just give yourself a number. You know what I'm saying? For me, it helps me to see that my brothers are going through similar situations, but we all are trying to get to the next level in some form or fashion. You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, man, I think I've just always been that way, but I think that I have somebody in my life that positions myself, so I hope that I can be there for somebody else to see that, oh, he's very confident in how he speaks about his trauma, he's very confident in the things and his fuck-ups and his mess-ups and whatever it looks like, because we all go through it. And I think it makes us stronger to lean into our mental, you know what I mean? And it's okay to cry, it's okay to have these moments where you don't feel like you can win, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, God got your back at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm not the most, I don't go to church like that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm very spiritual, and I know that God is right there next to me. Even when he may not open that door, he's still there. He'd like, well, I ain't opening it for you. You ain't ready. You know what I'm saying? So you looking at him like, damn, I ain't gonna put the key in you ain't gonna put the key in the door?
Can
you at least put the key in so I can turn it? You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, man, I think I'm just grateful that I have the confidence to speak, because I think people will enjoy, and hopefully we can change somebody's life.
That's what's up. Because a lot of times we focus on the physical health, we focus on heart disease, or we focus on diabetes, but we don't focus on that mental health aspect. And I think you've got to have both sides of the coin covered. And so I'm glad that you brought that here into the discussion. So thank you very much.
Man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all can come on in.
Come on in.
Y'all can come on in. You don't have to hover.
It's a live podcast. Y'all can shop too.
Yeah. Well, I love the question, because you say, like, before the pandemic, people weren't talking about mental health.
Right.
And the reality is, like, we just didn't realize we were suffering from it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic brought it out for everybody. Like, okay, everybody crazy. So we must be going through something.
Y'all in the hospital.
But like, it was a real moment for me during the pandemic. I would call my sisters and like, y'all need to call me and check up on me because I'm by myself talking to my walls and everything, and I think now people became more comfortable, like expressing that they're dealing with certain things, and now it's easier to have those conversations. So, absolutely kudos to like creating the space for it, because the more spaces we have like this where we can talk, like the easier it is for us to kind of move forward in our journeys.
It's alive, y'all. But no, I think, but also to your point, I think it's like, this shit cool, man. It's cool to be strong, you know what I'm saying? It's cool to be mentally aware, mentally locked in, have all these emotions, be emotional, lock in, you know what I'm saying? So we have to be that way in order to get to the next level. Keep back, Nina. Got you.
Yeah, we got folks here shopping.
Yes,
We in the middle of the
You better come
boutique.
shop
He likes it.
Come on, shop Luxor.
Sorry. She's behind you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And am I pronouncing it correct?
Luxor, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
People
perfect.
getting it right, blah, 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 blah.
All right, anybody have any questions?
I do have another question.
Go
Okay.
ahead, man.
So
We'll take one
I
more.
got another one. So,
That's drip right there. Sorry. We
Yeah,
still,
that
I
looks good on you.
We selling clothes on your life.
I love it.
I do too.
so as a person
50% off.
as an individual who believes,
50. For. No cap. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's
50% off just because you walked in here today. You better buy it.
Go ahead, my brother. I'm sorry.
it's okay. So as an individual who believes in the law of attraction, and when it comes to attracting people who are on the mental level as you and at my age, and people aren't really like that, how do you go out and attract those type of people and find those type of people who will bring you up to your mental level or be on that level you are? Because, for me, like you said, as your own person, your own individual, people are going to try to bring you down.
Right.
But I mean, I don't want that to get to me, but as a human, it's gonna get to me sometimes.
Right.
So how do you have those attraction, those connections to be able to pour out into somebody else?
I mean, I think, bro, you're young, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, how old are you? 18?
I'm 17.
17, man. Like, enjoy the journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll say this, don't be the leader in any environment that you're in, right? Because you're young, like everybody's not maturing the same way you're maturing. And it's not their fault, right? Because when I was 17, I was just being a teenager, you know what I'm saying? And I think there's different phases of that, you know what I mean? So I would say, man, I tell my little brother all the time too, he's 21, man, just enjoy the journey and be open to learning. Be open to learning from different people that maybe trying to tear you down.
That's why I'm here now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that you're here is that you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be perfectly fine. Don't worry don't put pressure on yourself to say, oh, I need to move myself. Like, just be aware of it. Because you gotta understand, like, even if your friend is not as mature as you, doesn't mean that they won't mature. They 17. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So there's times where they may be mature, they may be immature. You know
It's
what
like
I mean?
you want to make the best decisions as much as possible, but at the same time, like you're gonna make mistakes, and it's all a learning process.
And that's gonna help you grow.
You have quite a few bit of runway to like explore, make mistakes, get back up, do it again. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even remember what I was doing at 17.
I can't remember what I was doing at 17.
Your failures are your biggest thing, so too, it's like the biggest thing that pick you up.
Absolutely. But yeah, you want to make sure you.
But I would say this too, like, lean into what you love, you know what I'm saying? Let that be your outlet, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you love, whatever you enjoy, whatever friends you do have, lean in with them, like, create stuff. Like, there's a lot of resources and opportunity out there for you young people nowadays. I'm saying young people like, I'm old, god dang, man. I said that like I was old.
Right.
Anyways, but nah, like, don't worry about none of that, man. You'll be perfect, I promise you, you'll be perfectly fine. Stay on how you are, like you just pulled up, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I had to.
You'll be fine.
I learned how to
No,
learn.
listen, you will be fine. Don't worry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it. Well, that is our time we have for tonight. I appreciate everyone coming out
For having us.
and like making the Fashion Lounge what it is. Like the Fashion Lounge podcast is really about this space, like having this dialogue, not being afraid, like being transparent. This is a judgment-free zone. And that's what Fashion Row Collective is about. You know, we are a fashion tech multimedia platform created to engage players in the fashion community. So however we can put you on and amplify your voices and your talents, that's our mission and our goal. How we can give you access, how we can provide you with resources and connect you with dope people in the industry. So how can we find more out about you? What's your tags? What's your links? What's your...
My camera.
That's your camera right there.
You can follow brainlove_official on IG, all platforms. Shop brainlove.com. And y'all shop the store, so we get done. Y'all make sure y'all have a couple pieces, 50% off for outerwear, other than Melbourne and St. Perry. And then 50% off of all icebergs. So tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. This is y'all new destination, okay?
Yes, sir.
This is the new destination. This is the best boutique in the world. In the world.
Hey, I'm
Tell
with
them,
it.
You know, what you get?
He making
You
purchases.
know, put a drop on.
He over there making purchases. Y'all making money. Y'all making money tonight. And how can we find NTPR?
Yes, you can go to @NTPRFirm on Instagram. My website is www.ntprfirm.com. And that's it.
And you can find us at official_Fashion Row and fashionrow.com. That's fashionrow.com. Join our community. We have a lot of new cool things rolling out this year. Be on the lookout. You don't want to miss it. And that's our time. Thank you guys.
Thank you
Ciao.
guys.